The executive hired a young woman with a disability to mock her. But when the company owner found out, he did something shocking. In the bustling headquarters of Horizon Technologies, tension filled the air as the board of directors gathered for an emergency meeting. CEO Marcus Holloway, a stern-faced man in his 60s, stood at the head of the table, his gaze sweeping across the room. "Gentlemen, our company is facing a PR nightmare," Marcus began, his voice grave. "We've been called out for our lack of diversity and inclusion. We need to act fast." The room erupted into a cacophony of voices, each executive trying to outshout the other with their ideas. Amidst the chaos, Ethan Prescott, a rising star in his mid-30s, sat quietly, a calculated gleam in his eye. As the noise died down, Ethan cleared his throat. "I have a proposal," he said, his voice smooth and confident. All eyes turned to him. "We hire Lily Bennett, a brilliant programmer with cerebral palsy. She's exactly what we need to show we're serious about diversity." Marcus raised an eyebrow. "And you think she's qualified?" Ethan nodded, pulling up Lily's resume on the screen. Top of her class, innovative thinker, and she's been freelancing for years. Plus, her condition gives us the perfect PR angle. The room buzzed with approval, but Marcus remained skeptical. "All right, Ethan, set up an interview. But remember, this isn't just for show. If we do this, we do it right." As the meeting adjourned, Ethan allowed himself a smirk. Little did they know, he had no intention of letting this diversity initiative succeed. In his mind, it was nothing but a waste of resources. Later that evening, Ethan sat in his luxurious apartment, nursing a glass of scotch. His thoughts drifted to his childhood, memories he usually kept locked away. He remembered the taunts, the cruel laughter of his classmates, as they mocked his second-hand clothes and his father's dead-end job. "You'll never be one of us," they'd sneer. Those words had fueled his ambition, driving him to claw his way to the top. Now he was on the verge of becoming COO. He wouldn't let anything, especially not some diversity hire, stand in his way. Across town in a modest apartment, Lily Bennett sat at her computer, her hands trembling as she read the email from Horizon Technologies. An interview, a chance at her dream job. Lily wheeled herself to the mirror, studying her reflection. Her body, twisted by cerebral palsy, had always been a source of stares and whispers. But her mind was sharp as a tack. "You can do this, Lily," she told her reflection. "This is your chance to prove everyone wrong." As she prepared for bed, doubt crept in. What if they only wanted her as a token? What if she couldn't handle the pressure? Lily pushed the thoughts aside. She had fought too hard to let fear hold her back now. The next morning, Ethan arrived at Horizon early, ready to set his plan in motion. He briefed the HR team, emphasizing Lily's disability perhaps a bit too much. "Remember," he said with false sincerity, "we want to make her feel welcome." As Lily entered the building, Ethan watched from his office window. She navigated her wheelchair with practiced ease, her chin held high despite the curious stares from employees. Ethan's lips curled into a smile. This was going to be easier than he thought. He'd give her an impossible project, watch her fail, and prove that this whole diversity initiative was a mistake. Then, the path to COO would be clear. Little did Ethan know, his perfect plan was about to set in motion a chain of events that would change not just Lily's life, but his own, in ways he could never have imagined. As Lily entered the interview room, her heart pounding, she found herself face to face with Ethan. His smile was warm, but his eyes were cold. In that moment, an invisible tension crackled between them, the first spark of a conflict that would soon engulf them both. Lily's first day at Horizon Technologies was a whirlwind of challenges. As she wheeled through the office, she immediately noticed the lack of accessible pathways. Desks were cramped together, leaving little room for her wheelchair to maneuver. "Excuse me," Lily said repeatedly, trying to navigate the maze of obstacles. Some coworkers moved aside with awkward smiles, while others seemed annoyed by the interruption. Ethan watched from his office, a smirk playing on his lips. He had deliberately arranged for Lily's workspace to be in the most inconvenient location possible. "Lily, welcome to Horizon," Ethan said, approaching her desk. "I hope you're settling in well. I have your first project ready." He handed her a thick file. "We need a complete overhaul of our security systems. I'll need a full proposal by the end of the week." Lily's eyes widened. A complete system overhaul in a week? That was nearly impossible, especially for someone just starting. "I'll do my best," Lily said, trying to hide her concern. As Ethan walked away, he felt a twinge of guilt. He quickly suppressed it. This was business, he reminded himself. Nothing personal. Throughout the day, Lily struggled with various tasks. The coffee machine was too high for her to reach, the bathroom wasn't fully accessible, and her computer wasn't set up with the adaptive software she needed. Just as frustration threatened to overwhelm her, an older man in a janitor's uniform approached. "Need a hand?" he asked kindly. "I'm Marcus," he said, adjusting her desk to the right height. "Don't worry, you'll get the hang of things around here." There was something about Marcus that put Lily at ease. His eyes held a wisdom that seemed out of place for a janitor. As Marcus left, Lily felt a renewed determination. She wouldn't let these obstacles defeat her. Meanwhile, Ethan was in a meeting with other executives. "The diversity hire?" one of them asked. "How's that working out?" Ethan put on a concerned face. "Well, it's creating some challenges, but we're managing." Just then, Ethan's assistant poked her head in. "Sir, the team meeting is about to start." Ethan nodded. "Thank you. Has everyone been notified?" "Yes, sir. Everyone on the list." Ethan had made sure Lily's name was conveniently left off that list. As the day progressed, Lily threw herself into the security system project. It was daunting, but she was determined to prove herself. Suddenly, she realized the office had gone quiet. Wheeling out of her cubicle, she found the workspace empty. "Hello," she called out. No response. Lily felt a sinking feeling in her stomach. Had there been a meeting she didn't know about? Just then, she heard voices coming from the conference room. Approaching quietly, she recognized Ethan's voice. "I'm telling you, it's a nightmare," Ethan was saying. "She can barely get around the office. How is she supposed to contribute to the team?" Lily's heart sank. She had suspected Lily's heart sank. She had suspected Ethan might not fully support her, but hearing him speak so dismissively hurt more than she expected. "Give her a chance," another voice said. It sounded like Marcus, but that couldn't be right. Why would the janitor be in an executive meeting? Lily wheeled away quietly, her mind racing. She had known this job would be challenging, but she hadn't expected outright sabotage. As she returned to her desk, Lily's sadness turned to determination. If Ethan thought she would give up easily, he was sorely mistaken. She would prove him wrong, no matter what it took. Ethan, leaving the conference room, felt another pang of guilt. He pushed it aside, focusing on his goal. He couldn't let emotions get in the way of his ambitions. Little did either of them know, their conflict was just beginning. The coming weeks would test them both in ways they couldn't imagine, forcing them to confront their deepest fears and prejudices. As the day ended, Lily left the office with mixed emotions. The challenges were greater than she had anticipated, but her resolve was stronger than ever. Ethan, watching her leave, felt a flicker of admiration for her perseverance. He quickly squashed it. There was no room for sympathy in his plan. The stage was set for a battle of wills, with the future of Horizon Technologies hanging in the balance. And somewhere in the background, Marcus watched, his role in this unfolding drama yet to be revealed. As weeks passed at Horizon Technologies, Ethan's tactics against Lily grew more aggressive. One morning, Lily arrived at her desk to find her adaptive equipment malfunctioning. "Is everything okay?" Ethan asked, feigning concern. Lily struggled with her specialized keyboard. "It was working fine yesterday," she said, frustration evident in her voice. "Tech issues happen," Ethan shrugged. "I'm sure IT will get to it, eventually." Lily spent hours trying to work with standard equipment, falling behind on her already impossible workload. Ethan watched from afar, a mix of satisfaction and guilt churning in his stomach. Despite the setback, Lily refused to give up. She stayed late, working tirelessly on the security system overhaul. As midnight approached, she finally cracked a particularly complex coding issue. The next morning, Lily presented her solution to the team. Her colleagues were impressed, murmuring in appreciation of her innovative approach. "This is actually good," one team member admitted, surprise evident in his voice. Ethan's jaw clenched. This wasn't part of his plan. "It's a start," he said dismissively, "but there's still a long way to go." As days went by, Lily faced increasing isolation. Lunch invitations mysteriously disappeared, and she often found herself working alone while the rest of the team collaborated. One evening, after another day of subtle exclusion and technical difficulties, Lily wheeled herself into an empty conference room. The weight of constant struggle finally overwhelmed her. Tears streamed down her face as she buried her head in her hands. "I can't do this," she whispered to herself. "Maybe they're right. Maybe I don't belong here." Unknown to Lily, Marcus was passing by. He paused at the door, watching her with concern. "Rough day?" he asked gently, stepping into the room. Lily quickly wiped her eyes. "I'm fine," she lied. Marcus sat down across from her. "You know, when I first started here, I felt out of place too." Lily looked up, surprised. "You did?" Marcus nodded. "People underestimated me, thought I couldn't contribute much, but I knew my worth, and I see that same strength in you, Lily." His words struck a chord. Lily felt a glimmer of her old determination returning. "Thank you, Marcus," she said softly. "I needed to hear that." As Marcus left, Lily took a deep breath. She wouldn't give up. Not now, not ever. Meanwhile, Ethan was working late, reviewing financial reports. He was so focused on sabotaging Lily that he almost missed the discrepancy in the numbers. Frowning, he dug deeper. Something wasn't adding up in the company's finances. But before he could investigate further, he was interrupted by a call from the CEO. The next day, Lily noticed Ethan seemed distracted. Taking advantage of his inattention, she decided to tackle a challenging project she had been putting off. As she delved into the company's systems, she stumbled upon something odd. There were inconsistencies in the financial records, funds moving in ways that didn't make sense. Lily's curiosity was piqued. She began to dig deeper, her programmer's instincts telling her something was off. Just then, Ethan walked by. Lily quickly minimized her screen, but not before Ethan caught a glimpse of what she was working on. "Find something interesting?" he asked, his tone casual, but his eyes sharp. "Just familiarizing myself with the systems," Lily replied smoothly. Ethan nodded, but Lily could see suspicion in his eyes. As he walked away, she made a decision. She would investigate these discrepancies, no matter where they led. That night, as Lily left the office, her mind was racing. The challenge of unraveling this financial mystery energized her. For the first time since starting at Horizon, she felt truly excited about her work. Ethan watched her leave, a nagging worry growing in his mind. Had Lily stumbled upon something she shouldn't have? He pushed the thought aside. He had bigger problems to deal with. Little did either of them know, their actions were setting in motion events that would shake Horizon Technologies to its core. The lines between right and wrong, friend and foe, were about to blur in ways neither could anticipate. As Lily rode the elevator down, she made a silent vow. She would get to the bottom of this, no matter what it took. The girl who had almost given up earlier that day was gone. In her place stood a woman determined to uncover the truth, whatever the cost. The doors opened, and Lily wheeled out into the night, her mind already formulating a plan. The game was about to change, and she was ready to play. Lily spent her evenings poring over financial records, piecing together a disturbing pattern. Funds were being siphoned off, but she couldn't trace where they were going. She needed someone to confide in, someone she could trust. The next day, Lily sought out Marcus. She found him cleaning near the server room. "Marcus, can I talk to you?" Lily asked, glancing around to ensure they were alone. Marcus nodded, putting down his mop. "What's on your mind?" Lily took a deep breath. "I think there's something wrong with the company's finances. Money's disappearing, but I can't figure out where it's going." Marcus's eyes widened. "That's a serious accusation, Lily. Are you sure?" "Not entirely," Lily admitted, "but something's definitely off." Marcus rubbed his chin thoughtfully. "Be careful, Lily. Digging into this could be dangerous." Meanwhile, Ethan was growing increasingly paranoid. He'd noticed Lily spending extra time on her computer, always minimizing her screen when he walked by. Ethan decided to take drastic action. Lily had a crucial presentation coming up, one that could solidify her position in the company. He couldn't let that happen. The night before the presentation, Ethan snuck into the office. He accessed Lily's computer, corrupting her files and sabotaging her slides. The next morning, Lily arrived early to prepare. When she opened her presentation, her heart sank. Everything was jumbled, graphs were missing, and none of her notes made sense. "No, no, no," Lily muttered, frantically trying to salvage what she could. The presentation was a disaster. Lily stumbled through her points, unable to explain the inconsistencies in her data. Ethan watched from the back of the room, a mix of satisfaction and guilt on his face. As the room cleared out, Tom, a fellow programmer, approached Lily. "Hey, what happened in there?" Tom asked. "That wasn't like you at all." Lily shook her head, fighting back tears. "I don't know. Everything was fine last night." Tom frowned. "That's strange. Mind if I take a look?" As Tom examined Lily's computer, his frown deepened. "Lily, this looks like deliberate sabotage. Someone messed with your files." Lily's eyes widened. "But who would do that?" Tom glanced towards Ethan's office. "I have a hunch. I've noticed how he treats you. Something's not right there." From that moment, Tom became Lily's ally. They began working together, investigating both the financial discrepancies and the sabotage of Lily's work. Ethan, meanwhile, was becoming increasingly erratic. He snapped at colleagues, double-checked his own work obsessively, and jumped at every unexpected noise. One afternoon, Ethan overheard Tom and Lily whispering in the break room. He couldn't make out their words, but their serious expressions sent a chill down his spine. Later that day, Ethan was reviewing some files when he stumbled upon a folder he didn't recognize. Opening it, he found copies of the same financial records Lily had been investigating. Panic seized him. Had someone else discovered the fraud? Was he about to be exposed? Ethan quickly deleted the folder, his hands shaking. He needed to be more careful. The stakes were too high. As Lily dug deeper into the financial records, she made a startling discovery. The misappropriated funds were all coming from one place: the budget for accessibility projects. That's why the office isn't more accessible, Lily realized. Someone's been stealing the money meant for improvements. The revelation filled Lily with a renewed sense of purpose. This wasn't just about uncovering fraud anymore. It was about fighting for the rights of people like her. Ethan, unaware of Lily's discovery, was reaching his breaking point. Every glance, every whispered conversation seemed like a threat. As he was leaving the office that night, Ethan's phone buzzed. He opened the message and his blood ran cold. "I know what you did. Watch your back." Ethan looked around wildly, but the parking lot was empty. Who sent the message? What did they know? As he drove home, Ethan's mind raced. He'd come too far to be stopped now. He'd do whatever it took to protect himself, no matter the cost. Little did he know, his actions were about to set off a chain of events that would change everything at Horizon Technologies. The battle lines were drawn, and the final confrontation was approaching faster than anyone realized. The atmosphere at Horizon Technologies grew tenser by the day. Lily and Tom worked discreetly, piecing together the puzzle of the financial fraud. They stayed late, using the quiet after hours to access files without raising suspicion. "Look at this," Tom whispered one evening, pointing to his screen. "These transactions all trace back to a single account." Lily leaned in, her eyes widening. "Can you track who owns it?" Tom shook his head. "Not yet, but I'm working on it." Their investigation didn't go unnoticed. Ethan watched them with growing unease, his paranoia reaching new heights. During a team meeting, Ethan decided to assert his authority. He singled out Lily, questioning her progress on a project she hadn't even been assigned. "Well, Lily?" Ethan demanded, his voice sharp. "Where's the report I asked for?" Lily frowned, confusion evident on her face. "I'm sorry, but I don't recall being assigned that report. Are you saying I'm lying?" Ethan's voice rose, drawing everyone's attention. Before Lily could respond, Marcus stepped in. "Ethan, I don't remember that assignment either. Perhaps there was a miscommunication?" Ethan faltered, realizing his attempt at intimidation had backfired. "I must have mixed up the assignments. My apologies, Lily." The room fell silent, the tension palpable. Lily met Ethan's gaze steadily, refusing to be cowed. As the days passed, Marcus became more vocal in challenging Ethan's decisions. In meetings, he questioned Ethan's strategies, often siding with Lily's suggestions. "I think Lily's approach has merit," Marcus said during one heated discussion. "We should give it serious consideration." Ethan's face reddened. "Since when does a janitor have a say in company strategy?" he snapped. The room fell silent. Marcus smiled calmly. "I may be a janitor, Ethan, but I've been here longer than you. I've seen a lot." Ethan's unease grew. Who was Marcus really? And how much did he know? Late one night, Ethan decided to take drastic action. He snuck into the office, intending to destroy any evidence linking him to the fraud. As he rummaged through files on his computer, he heard a noise. Panicking, he quickly closed everything and pretended to be working late. Tom walked in, surprise evident on his face. "Ethan? What are you doing here so late?" Ethan forced a smile. "Just catching up on some work. You?" "Same," Tom replied, his eyes narrowing slightly. After Tom left, Ethan slumped in his chair, his heart racing. That was too close. Meanwhile, Lily's confidence grew with each passing day. She no longer shrank from confrontations with Ethan, standing her ground in meetings and pushing back against his attempts to undermine her. "I won't be intimidated," she told Tom one day. "We're going to expose this fraud no matter what." Tom nodded, a determined glint in his eye. "I think I'm close to cracking this. Just a little more time." Ethan, on the other hand, was unraveling. He jumped at shadows, second-guessed every decision, and snapped at anyone who questioned him. During a late-night coding session, Tom made a breakthrough. He managed to trace the fraudulent transactions to their source. "Lily, you need to see this," he called out, his voice urgent. Lily wheeled over, her eyes widening as she looked at Tom's screen. There, in black and white, was irrefutable evidence linking Ethan to the fraud. "We've got him," Tom said, a note of triumph in his voice. Lily nodded, a mix of emotions washing over her. "We need to take this to the CEO." Just then, Ethan's phone rang. He answered, his face paling as he listened. "Yes, sir. I'll be right there," he said, his voice shaky. As he hung up, Ethan looked around the office, panic evident in his eyes. The CEO wanted to see him immediately. Did they know? Had he been exposed? Ethan walked towards the elevator, feeling as if he was heading to his own execution. The game was up. Everything he had worked for was about to come crashing down. As the elevator doors closed, Ethan caught a glimpse of Lily and Tom, their heads bent together over a computer screen. In that moment, he knew. They had uncovered his secret. The elevator began its ascent, carrying Ethan towards a confrontation that would change the course of Horizon Technologies forever. The truth was about to come out, and nothing would ever be the same. Ethan's heart raced as he entered the CEO's office. To his surprise, he found not only the CEO, but also Marcus, Lily, and Tom waiting for him. The tension in the room was palpable. "Ethan, please sit down," the CEO said, his voice grave. As Ethan took his seat, Marcus stepped forward. "I believe it's time for some truths to come to light," he said, his demeanor changing from the humble janitor Ethan knew to something more commanding. "What's going on?" Ethan asked, his voice wavering. Marcus straightened up, his eyes fixed on Ethan. "First, let me introduce myself properly. I'm not just a janitor. I'm Marcus Holloway, the founder and owner of Horizon Technologies." The room fell silent. Ethan's jaw dropped, his mind reeling from the revelation. "But why?" Ethan stammered. "I wanted to see how my company really operated," Marcus explained. "And what I've seen has been enlightening." Marcus nodded to Tom, who pulled up a series of financial documents on the room's main screen. "Ethan, we've uncovered evidence of significant financial fraud," Marcus said. "Funds meant for accessibility projects have been diverted, and all signs point to you." Ethan's face paled. He looked around the room, searching for a sympathetic face, but found none. I can explain," Ethan began, but Marcus cut him off. "Save it, Ethan. We have proof. Emails, transactions, all linking back to you." As the evidence was laid out, Ethan's shoulders slumped. The weight of his actions crashed down upon him. "But that's not all," Marcus continued. He turned to Lily. "Lily, would you like to share what you've experienced?" Lily wheeled forward, her face a mix of determination and hurt. She recounted the sabotage, the isolation, the constant undermining of her work. As Lily spoke, Ethan's shame deepened. He couldn't meet anyone's eyes, least of all Lily's. The CEO, who had been silent until now, spoke up. "Ethan, your actions have not only been unethical, but potentially criminal. We should be calling the police right now." Ethan's head snapped up, fear evident in his eyes, but Marcus held up a hand. "However, I believe in second chances. Ethan, I'm offering you a choice." The room held its breath as Marcus continued. "Option 1, we proceed with legal action. You'll face the consequences of your fraud and discrimination." Ethan swallowed hard, his future crumbling before his eyes. "Option 2, Marcus said, you work directly under Lily on our accessibility projects. You'll use your skills to right the wrongs you've committed." The room erupted in shocked whispers. Lily's eyes widened in surprise. "Why would you give me that chance?" Ethan asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Marcus's eyes softened slightly. Because I believe people can change, Ethan. But it's up to you to prove me right. As the reality of the situation sank in, Ethan's carefully constructed world shattered. Years of ambition, of climbing the corporate ladder at any cost, had led him here. Lily, watching Ethan's breakdown, felt a mix of emotions. There was validation in seeing her struggles acknowledged, but also uncertainty about the future. Could she really work with someone who had tried so hard to sabotage her? There's one more thing, Lily said, her voice steady. All eyes turned to her. I knew about the fraud earlier than I let on. I wanted to gather more evidence before coming forward. This revelation added another layer of complexity to the already tense situation. Ethan looked at Lily with a new understanding, realizing he had underestimated her from the start. The room fell silent as everyone waited for Ethan's decision. The once confident executive now looked small and defeated. Finally, Ethan spoke, his voice barely audible. I'll do it. I'll work with Lily. Marcus nodded, a hint of approval in his eyes. Good, you start tomorrow. Lily will be your supervisor. As the meeting adjourned, Ethan remained in his seat, the weight of his actions crushing him. He had lost everything he thought he wanted, only to be offered a chance he never knew he needed. Lily wheeled past him, pausing at the door. I'll see you tomorrow, Ethan, she said, her voice neutral but not unkind. Ethan nodded, unable to meet her gaze. As the door closed behind her, he was left alone with his thoughts, facing the daunting task of rebuilding not just his career, but his entire worldview. The next day would mark the beginning of a new chapter at Horizon Technologies. For Ethan, it was a chance at redemption. For Lily, an opportunity to create real change. And for the company as a whole, a step towards becoming truly inclusive. As night fell over the city, the Horizon Technologies building stood silent, unaware of the dramatic changes that awaited it in the morning. The stage was set for a journey of transformation, not just for Ethan and Lily, but for everyone involved. The next morning, Ethan arrived at work feeling like a stranger in his own office. Whispers followed him as he made his way to the conference room for his first meeting with Lily. Lily was already there, her face a mask of professionalism. Good morning, Ethan, she said, her voice neutral. Let's get started. The meeting was tense and awkward. Ethan struggled to adjust to his new role as Lily's subordinate, while Lily worked to maintain her composure in the face of their complicated history. We need to review the current accessibility features and identify areas for improvement, Lily explained, pulling up a document on her tablet. Ethan nodded, trying to focus on the task at hand rather than the shame that threatened to overwhelm him. Their uneasy partnership was put to the test when Marcus called them into his office later that day. We have a problem, Marcus said, his face grave. Global Tech is threatening to cancel their contract. They're not happy with our accessibility features. Lily and Ethan exchanged glances. Global Tech was one of Horizon's biggest clients. We need you two to work together and fix this, Marcus continued. Show them what we're capable of. As they left Marcus's office, Ethan felt a spark of his old determination. We can't lose this contract, he said to Lily. What do you think we should do? Lily looked surprised at his willingness to defer to her. We need to completely overhaul the user interface. Make it intuitive for all users, regardless of ability. Ethan nodded. Let's do it. Over the next few days, Ethan began to see Horizon through Lily's eyes. He watched as she navigated the office, struggling with doors that were too heavy, desks that were too high, and software that wasn't compatible with her adaptive technology. One afternoon, Ethan found Lily stuck outside the break room, unable to reach the door handle. Without a word, he opened the door for her. Thanks, Lily said, a hint of surprise in her voice. Ethan shrugged, uncomfortable with the gratitude. It's nothing. But it wasn't nothing. It was the beginning of a shift in Ethan's perspective. As they worked on the Global Tech project, Ethan found himself impressed by Lily's insights and problem-solving skills. He began to see her not as a diversity hire, but as a valuable team member. Their breakthrough came late one night. Lily had developed a new interface that was both visually appealing and fully accessible. This is brilliant, Ethan said, reviewing her work. Global Tech will love this. Lily smiled, the first genuine smile she'd given him since their partnership began. The next day, during a team meeting, one of Ethan's old allies made a snide comment about the special treatment Lily was receiving. To everyone's surprise, including his own, Ethan spoke up. "That special treatment is called equal opportunity," he said firmly. "Lily's work speaks for itself. We could all learn from her approach." The room fell silent. Lily stared at Ethan, shock evident on her face. As the meeting ended, Ethan overheard two colleagues talking. "Can you believe Ethan?" one said. "Defending the girl he tried to sabotage?" "Maybe people can change," the other replied. Ethan walked away, his mind in turmoil. He was changing, but was it too late? Later that week, as they prepared for the global tech presentation, Ethan's curiosity got the better of him. "Lily," he began hesitantly, "why didn't you expose me right away when you discovered the fraud?" Lily paused her typing, considering her answer. "I wanted to understand the full scope of what was happening," she said finally. "And I guess part of me hoped you'd realize what you were doing was wrong." Ethan felt a wave of shame wash over him. "I'm sorry," he said softly, "for everything." Lily nodded, acknowledging his apology without fully accepting it. "Let's focus on the presentation," she said, turning back to her work. As Ethan left the office that evening, feeling a mix of guilt and hope, his phone buzzed. It was a text from Robert, his old friend from the finance department. "We need to talk," the message read. "I know things that could ruin you. Meet me tomorrow, or I go to Marcus." Ethan's blood ran cold. Just as he was starting to turn things around, his past was threatening to destroy everything. As he stared at the message, Ethan realized he had a choice to make. He could try to cover his tracks, falling back into old habits, or he could come clean and face the consequences. The decision he would make would not only affect his future, but could potentially impact the fragile trust he was building with Lily and the rest of the team. With a heavy heart, Ethan put his phone away and headed home, knowing that tomorrow would bring challenges he wasn't sure he was ready to face. The weeks following Ethan's confrontation with Robert were filled with tension and change. Ethan had made the difficult decision to come clean to Marcus about his past misdeeds, bracing himself for the consequences. To his surprise, Marcus chose to give him another chance, emphasizing that this was his last opportunity to prove himself. Determined to make amends, Ethan threw himself into implementing accessibility changes throughout the office. He started with simple modifications, lowering countertops, installing automatic doors, and updating software to be more compatible with adaptive technologies. However, not everyone was on board with these changes. "This is a waste of resources," complained James, a senior manager. "We're a tech company, not a charity." Ethan, who once might have agreed, now found himself ardently defending the changes. "This isn't charity, James. It's about creating an inclusive workplace where everyone can contribute fully." As Ethan and Lily worked on the Global Tech project, they encountered a significant technical hurdle. The new interface was causing unexpected crashes in the main system. "We've tried everything," Lily said, frustration evident in her voice. "I don't know what else to do." Ethan, looking at the code over her shoulder, had an idea. "What if we approach it from a different angle?" he suggested. Together, they worked through the night, combining Ethan's system knowledge with Lily's innovative approach. By morning, they had not only solved the problem but had created a more robust system overall. As they high-fived over their success, Ethan realized how much he had come to respect and value Lily's skills. The woman he once saw as a threat had become a trusted partner. However, not everyone was happy with Ethan's transformation. His old allies, seeing him align with Lily and support the changes, began to turn against him. One day, Ethan overheard a group of them planning to undermine the accessibility project. Without hesitation, he confronted them. "This ends now," Ethan said firmly. "If you can't support our company's progress, maybe it's time to find somewhere else to work." The group was shocked. This wasn't the Ethan they knew. As they dispersed, Ethan felt a weight lift off his shoulders. He was finally breaking free from toxic influences that had held him back for so long. Despite their progress, Ethan and Lily faced a new challenge when parts of their project began to malfunction mysteriously. Files would go missing, settings would change unexpectedly, and deadlines were nearly missed due to unexplained system errors. "Someone's sabotaging us," Lily concluded after another frustrating day. Ethan nodded, his face grim. But who, and why? They decided to set a trap, creating a fake project file with a hidden tracker. It didn't take long for the bait to be taken. To their shock, the tracker led them straight to the office of Vice President Richard Simmons. Confronted with evidence of his actions, Richard broke down. "These changes threaten everything we've built," he argued. "If we prioritize accessibility, we'll lose our competitive edge." Ethan, looking at Richard, saw a reflection of his old self. Someone so focused on traditional success that he'd lost sight of what really mattered. "You're wrong, Richard," Ethan said. "Inclusivity doesn't weaken us, it makes us stronger." As Richard was escorted out of the building, Ethan turned to Lily. "I'm sorry," he said. "I used to think like him. I was so wrong." Lily smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. "You've changed, Ethan. That's what matters." With the saboteur exposed, Ethan and Lily threw themselves into final preparations for the global tech presentation. The entire company was buzzing with anticipation. This project could redefine Horizon's future. The night before the big day, Ethan and Lily were doing one last run-through. Suddenly, Lily's system crashed. When they tried to reboot, nothing happened. No, Lily muttered, frantically trying to revive her computer. All our work was on there. Ethan felt a wave of panic. Everything they had worked for was at risk. But as he looked at Lily, he saw not just a colleague in distress, but a friend who needed his support. "We'll figure this out," he said, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "Together." As they stared at the blank screen, the enormity of the challenge ahead sank in. They had just hours to salvage months of work. The presentation that could make or break Horizon's future hung in the balance. Ethan took a deep breath. This was more than just a technical problem. It was a test of everything he had learned, of the new person he was striving to become. "Okay," he said, rolling up his sleeves. "Let's get to work." The clock ticked relentlessly as Ethan and Lily faced their greatest challenge yet. The outcome of this crisis would not only determine the success of their project, but would also put their newfound partnership to the ultimate test. The morning of the global tech presentation arrived, and Horizon Technologies was in a state of controlled chaos. Ethan and Lily had worked through the night, fueled by coffee and determination, trying to salvage their project from the system crash. "We're almost there," Lily said, her eyes red from lack of sleep. "Just a few more lines of code." Ethan nodded, his fingers flying over the keyboard. They had managed to recover most of their work, but the presentation software was still glitchy. As the global tech executives filed into the conference room, Marcus pulled Ethan and Lily aside. "Are we ready?" he asked, concern evident in his voice. Ethan and Lily exchanged glances. "We'll make it work," Ethan said firmly. The presentation began, with Lily taking the lead. She spoke passionately about Horizon's commitment to accessibility and inclusivity. But as she tried to launch the demo, the system froze. Lily's face paled. She tried again, but nothing happened. The room grew tense as the global tech executives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Without hesitation, Ethan stepped forward. "Allow me to demonstrate while we resolve this technical issue," he said smoothly. Drawing on his memory of countless hours working on the project, Ethan began to explain and mime the features of their new interface. His presentation was far from perfect, but his enthusiasm and deep understanding of the product shone through. As Ethan spoke, Lily worked furiously in the background, trying to get the system back online. Suddenly, she realized what had caused the crash. It was an old program, one that Ethan had installed months ago in his efforts to sabotage her work. The irony of the situation wasn't lost on her. Just as Ethan was running out of material, Lily managed to reboot the system. The interface sprang to life on the screen, drawing gasps of appreciation from the global tech team. Ethan seamlessly handed the presentation back to Lily, who guided the executives through the innovative features they had developed. The room buzzed with excitement as they demonstrated how the interface could be easily adapted for users with various disabilities. As the presentation concluded, the lead global tech executive stood up. "This is impressive," he said. "But I have one question. We've heard rumors about internal issues at Horizon. How can we trust that this project will be supported long-term?" A hush fell over the room. Ethan and Lily exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. Then, to everyone's surprise, Lily spoke up. "I'd like to address that," she said, wheeling herself to the front of the room. "It's true that we've had our challenges. In fact, not too long ago, the man standing next to me was actively working against this project." The room erupted in murmurs. Ethan felt his heart sink, sure that Lily was about to expose all his past misdeeds. But Lily continued, "However, Ethan has shown us the true meaning of growth and change. He not only admitted his mistakes, but has become one of our strongest advocates for inclusivity. I chose to give him a second chance, and it's one of the best decisions I've made." Ethan stared at Lily, overwhelmed by her words. He felt a profound shift within himself, a realization of how far he had come and how much further he still wanted to go. The global tech executive nodded, a smile spreading across his face. "That's exactly the kind of integrity and adaptability we're looking for in a partner. You have yourselves a deal." The room erupted in applause. Ethan and Lily had done it. They had not only saved the project, but had potentially pulled Horizon back from the brink of a major crisis. As the excitement died down, Marcus stepped forward. "In light of recent events and the success of this project, I have an announcement to make," he said. "Horizon Technologies will be undergoing a complete restructuring. We're going to put inclusivity and accessibility at the forefront of everything we do." The room buzzed with a mix of excitement and apprehension. Change was coming, and it was clear that nothing at Horizon would ever be the same. As the global tech executives filed out, Ethan turned to Lily. "Thank you," he said softly, "for believing in me when I didn't deserve it." Lily smiled. "You proved me right, Ethan. We make a good team." Ethan nodded, feeling a sense of purpose he had never experienced before. He knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, he was finally on the right path. As they left the conference room, the atmosphere in the office was electric. Employees gathered in small groups, discussing the presentation and Marcus's announcement. The future of Horizon Technologies was uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it felt full of promise. Ethan and Lily shared a look of quiet triumph. They had faced seemingly insurmountable odds and had come out stronger. Whatever came next, they knew they could face it together. In the weeks following the Global Tech presentation, Horizon Technologies underwent a dramatic transformation. The success of the accessibility project had sparked a company-wide revolution, and at the center of it all were Lily and Ethan. Marcus called an all-hands meeting to announce the changes. "As part of our restructuring," he began, "I'm proud to announce the creation of our new Accessible Technology Department, and I can think of no one better to lead it than Lily Bennett." The room erupted in applause as Lily, shocked but beaming, wheeled to the front. "Thank you," she said, her voice steady. "I promise to continue pushing for innovation and inclusivity in everything we do." Ethan watched from the sidelines, a mix of pride and apprehension on his face. He knew his own future at the company was uncertain, given his past actions. After the meeting, Marcus pulled Ethan aside. "You know we can't ignore what happened," he said gravely. "There will be legal consequences." Ethan nodded, accepting the reality of his situation. "I understand," he said. "I'm ready to face whatever comes." Over the next few days, Ethan worked with the company's legal team, providing full disclosure of his past misdeeds. He accepted a financial penalty and agreed to ongoing ethics training. Throughout the process, he maintained a dignified demeanor, impressing even those who had once been his harshest critics. Meanwhile, Lily hit the ground running in her new role. She assembled a diverse team and began implementing accessibility features across all of Horizon's products. Her leadership style, both assertive and inclusive, quickly earned her the respect of her colleagues. As word of Horizon's transformation spread, the company began attracting national attention. Tech magazines ran feature stories on their inclusive design approach, and business journals praised their innovative corporate culture. Ethan, despite his reduced role, found himself deeply involved in the company's new direction. His experience and technical skills, combined with his newfound commitment to inclusivity, made him a valuable asset to Lily's team. However, not everyone was convinced by Horizon's new approach. At a tech industry conference, Ethan and Lily faced skepticism from other companies. "This is all well and good," one CEO scoffed, "but how does it affect the bottom line? Accessibility features are expensive to implement." Lily, undaunted, pulled up their latest financial reports. Since implementing these changes, she explained, our user base has grown by 30%. People with disabilities represent a huge untapped market. We're not just doing the right thing, we're expanding our business. Ethan chimed in, and our employee satisfaction and productivity have skyrocketed. It turns out, when you create an environment where everyone can contribute fully, everyone benefits. Their passion and concrete results began to sway even the most dubious executives. Slowly but surely, Horizon was becoming a model for the entire industry. Back at the office, Ethan was working late one night when Marcus stopped by his desk. You've come a long way, Marcus observed. Ethan nodded, a hint of his old confidence returning. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm grateful for everything that happened. It opened my eyes to what really matters. Marcus smiled, then hesitated before speaking again. I've been thinking about the future of the company, he said carefully. I won't be around forever, you know. Ethan looked up, surprised. What do you mean? I'm considering retirement, Marcus explained. And I've been watching you and Lily closely. The way you've turned things around, the leadership you've both shown. Well, let's just say I'm impressed. Ethan's mind raced. Was Marcus suggesting what he thought he was? Before he could respond, Marcus's phone buzzed. Speaking of Lily, he said, checking the message, you two have been invited to speak at the International Conference on Corporate Inclusion next month. It's a big opportunity for Horizon. Ethan sat back, overwhelmed by the implications of everything Marcus had said. From nearly losing his career to potentially helping lead the company into a new era, it was almost too much to process. As Marcus left, Ethan found himself staring at the framed mission statement on the wall. Innovation through inclusion, it read. He smiled, realizing how much those words now meant to him. The next morning, Ethan shared the news about the conference with Lily. Her eyes lit up with excitement. This is our chance to really make a difference, she said. To show the world what's possible when you commit to true inclusivity. Ethan nodded, feeling a surge of purpose. We've come so far, he said, but I think this is just the beginning. As they began planning for the conference, Ethan and Lily couldn't help but reflect on their journey. From adversaries to allies, they had not only transformed themselves, but had helped reshape an entire company. And now, they stood on the brink of influencing the corporate world at large. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, continuing to push for a more inclusive and accessible world for all. 6 months after the International Conference on Corporate Inclusion, Ethan and Lily stood before a packed auditorium at Horizon Technologies. They were leading a workshop on inclusive design, sharing their experiences and insights with employees from every department. Remember, Ethan said, addressing the crowd, accessibility isn't an afterthought, it's the foundation of good design. Lily nodded, adding, when we design for those who face the biggest challenges, we create better products for everyone. As they spoke, both couldn't help but reflect on how far they'd come. Flashbacks of their journey played in their minds. The initial hostility, the gradual understanding, and finally, the deep partnership they'd forged. The workshop was just one example of how Horizon had transformed. The once competitive, cutthroat culture had given way to one of collaboration and mutual support. Employees from diverse backgrounds now felt empowered to contribute their unique perspectives. After the workshop, Marcus called a company-wide meeting. The air was thick with anticipation as he took the stage. When I founded this company, Marcus began, I had a vision of creating technology that could change lives. Thanks to all of you, and especially to Lily and Ethan, we're finally truly living up to that vision. He paused, looking out at the sea of faces. And that's why I feel confident in making this next announcement. As of next month, I will be officially retiring as CEO of Horizon Technologies. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Though rumors of Marcus's retirement had been circulating, hearing it confirmed was still a shock. But don't worry, Marcus continued, a smile playing on his lips. I'm leaving the company in very capable hands. I'm pleased to announce that Lily Bennett and Ethan Prescott will be taking over as co-CEOs. The room erupted in applause. Ethan and Lily, standing side by side, were momentarily stunned. They knew they'd been under consideration for leadership roles, But this was beyond their expectations. As the excitement died down, Ethan and Lily took the stage. "Thank you all," Lily said, her voice filled with emotion. "Ethan and I are honored by this opportunity." Ethan nodded, adding, "We promise to continue pushing Horizon forward, always striving to make technology that's truly accessible to all." In the weeks that followed, Ethan and Lily threw themselves into their new roles. They were determined to not just maintain Horizon's new direction, but to push it even further. One evening, as they were working late, Lily turned to Ethan. "I've been thinking," she said, "about a new project." Ethan raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "What kind of project?" Lily's eyes lit up with excitement. "A revolutionary assistive technology. Something that could bridge the gap between physical disabilities and digital interaction in ways we've never seen before." As Lily outlined her idea, Ethan felt a familiar surge of enthusiasm. This was why he'd fallen in love with technology in the first place, its power to change lives. "Let's do it," he said, grinning. "We'll put our best team on it." As they dove into planning, both Ethan and Lily took a moment to reflect on their extraordinary journey. Ethan, once driven by ambition and greed, had found a deeper sense of purpose and fulfillment. Lily, who had faced discrimination and doubt, now led a major tech company, respected and admired by her peers. Their partnership, born from conflict and nurtured through challenges, had become the cornerstone of Horizon's success. Under their leadership, the company had become a trailblazer in accessible technology, inspiring change across the industry. Other tech giants were now following Horizon's lead, implementing inclusive design principles and hiring more diverse teams. The ripple effect of their work was changing the face of the entire tech industry. As the night wore on, Ethan and Lily found themselves sharing stories of the past year, marveling at how much had changed. "You know," Ethan said, a hint of wonder in his voice, "a year ago, I never would have believed this was possible. I was so focused on climbing the corporate ladder, I couldn't see the bigger picture." Lily nodded, understanding. "And I was so used to fighting against the system, I couldn't imagine being in a position to change it from within." They fell into a comfortable silence, both lost in thought. Finally, Ethan spoke again. "Thank you, Lily, for giving me a second chance, for showing me a better way." Lily smiled, reaching out to squeeze his hand. "And thank you, Ethan, for proving that people can change, for becoming not just a colleague, but a true friend." As they turned back to their work, both felt a sense of excitement for the future. They had overcome seemingly insurmountable odds, transforming not just themselves and their company, but potentially the entire tech industry. The road ahead would undoubtedly hold new challenges, but Ethan and Lily were ready to face them together. They had learned that with perseverance, empathy, and a willingness to change, anything was possible. As the first light of dawn broke through the office windows, Ethan and Lily shared a smile. They were more than just business partners or friends. They were living proof of the power of second chances, and a testament to the positive change that can happen when people open their hearts and minds to new possibilities. The future was bright, and Horizon Technologies was ready to meet it head-on, continuing to push the boundaries of what was possible in the world of accessible technology. Thanks for watching this inspiring story of transformation and second chances. If you enjoyed Ethan and Lily's journey, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming tales. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What was your favorite moment? Or maybe you have an idea for our next story. Remember, just like Ethan and Lily, we all have the power to change and make a difference. So let's spread some positivity together. In the end, it's not about where we start, but how far we're willing to go to become better versions of ourselves.